if someone wants to go in this industry for fame and fortune, then I would say they are definitely going to be in for disappointment. The four of us were very skeptical about it. What if we want to quit? We don't have any way out in that sense.
So if a girl says that you're not suitable, will you give up on the first try? or will you like persevere?
In fact, that's how I persevered, and eventually that's how I got my wife as well. At that point of time, I thought maybe this didn't work. Maybe I'm not meant to do this. All these things kind of creeped in and became layers of bricks that crushed me down and made me feel like I'm not suitable. If I feel like I need to say I love you to someone, or if I need to say I love you to my parents, I would now do it. If you try, there's 1% chance. No try, 0% chance.
Once a member with EchoBoys Singapore first boy band, Benjamin Eio has been acting for 2 decades while building a career as a financial advisor. Now he is part of an upcoming feature film by Anthony Chen. But as parents, are we really going to encourage our children to pursue acting in Singapore? Thank you, Ben, for joining us today. And what got you into joining your first boy band?
For me, I guess I always really liked singing. I started singing when I was 7 years old in my dad's car. I always remember those very vividly, and those days where he would play this famous singer back then in the 80s called Rick Astley. And whenever he plays those songs, I will always tell them, look, Mom and Dad, I'm going to sing now, so you guys keep quiet for a while until I finish, then you guys can clap. Very memorable time for me as a child, and that somehow lingered on.
Did they see the passion in you when you actually, told them, say, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm going to sing at 7 years old? What were their feedback back then?
Yeah, they were very enthusiastic. Of course, being parents are always very encouraging. Yeah. So every time, oh yay, you're done, and that's very good, and and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it sparked that initial fire or passion towards singing. And for my dad also, I think when he was younger, he used to share with me that he would take records and then he would, of the Beatles, and then he would sing along to it and record it as in I think, was it vinyl back then or tapes? I can't remember.
Did you attend, your parents, did they send you for professional courses?
Yes, I did do piano lessons for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did do piano lessons for a while.
So you are like grade 8?
No, I only did it up to grade 2, but then because I think what made that passion died out was because I was doing a lot of classical playing music. As a child, liking pop music back, doing all these like Beethoven and stuff like that, kind of was boring back then.
Yep.
But now looking back, I wish I had continued. I wish my parents had kind of forced me to continue, because I really like the sound of the piano now, and sometimes I feel that as a singer, having a knowledge about instruments and piano, it's very helpful. So
you only have the voice, but you don't have the,
the voice.
complementary skills to play it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then can you share with us maybe a bit more, how does this EchoBoys boy band came about? Was it like you formed with your friends or how?
When I was 16, I just finished O-levels. I saw in this newspaper, back then it was called New Paper, right? They were looking for 4 guys in this singing competition. Anyone can sign up for it, and I thought, oh, wow, since I like music, and it's very funny, I always visualized myself back then when I was a kid, I always visualized myself being in a boy band. And when I saw that, it's like, wow, okay, I think this is an opportunity, so I signed up for it. Unknowingly, I didn't expect to win, and eventually I became part of the 4 of that boy band.
I see,
Yeah.
Okay. Because we also know that you are an actor yourself, okay, so maybe share with us, how does your acting journey came about?
I started acting when I was 19, right? When I was in the boy band, and then I think someone from casting in MediaCorp side saw I was my EchoBoys performance, right? And I think they were doing this school kids drama show, a couple of series. I think altogether there were 3 seasons. It was called Moment High back then. And so the casting team at the point in time asked me to audition for one of the lead characters. And I got the part actually, but I had long hair at the point of time. So they said, can you cut your hair? If not, we can't get you to do this role, because I have to be a student, you see. So I had really long hair at the point of time. It's like, back then, growing long hair, it's like, wow, finally after secondary school, you can start keeping long hair, And then it takes so long to grow, and then now I asked you to chop it off. So I said at the point of time, no, I would not cut it off. And they said, okay, you know what? How about you do another role? Right? There was another character in the show that had long hair, which was the Ah Beng guy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So my first role was acting with this Abing guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was it like out of your character? Because I mean, like speaking to you like that, I don't see you have the Abing, like style. So was that kind of role very hard for you to like play out, Abing?
Yeah, it was hard. I literally at a point in time had to look in the mirror and like, kind of like act like how I see my own interpretation of how Abings are supposed to be, and how the hand gestures and all that. At that point in time, I was also a smoker, so that kind of also helped me a little bit
get
to
into character.
get into character.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because let's be real, right? Because as much as we know that Singapore focuses a lot on academic studies and all this, and there's also a lot of younger generation, like Generation Z, Generation Alpha, Beta, this kind of thing.
Yes.
They wanted to enter into the media industry, right? But a lot of times, maybe perhaps they enter for a wrong reason, because they wanted to be famous.
Right.
They wanted to be, like I want to earn big bucks, right? Is it true that people who actually enter into this kind of acting industry are actually looking for fame, actually looking to earn big bucks?
I think there are, possibly some group of people that want fame and money, right? And I believe there's also the other side that is actually doing for the craft. Of course, if someone wants to go in this industry for fame and fortune, then I would say they are definitely going to be in for disappointment, because it's not an easy road. It's a lot of rejection and there's a lot of hard work. And sometimes, no matter how much hard work you put in, you may not even eventually get there. So very importantly, you must have the love for this art, this passion.
Then would you say that actually, if let's say I get into the media industry, for example, acting, and I'm not famous, does that mean I'm not like a good actor, or does that mean that I'm not like a good actress?
Wow, that's a very good question. I think
because people always like, especially in the public figure, right? People always say, "Oh, wow, my fans don't like me. I'm not good in this." And then let's say they don't win the Star Award, like top 10, best male lead, female lead, right? Then they will tend to feel that, hey, I'm not the right fit for acting.
To share with you on this concept, right? I used to also think like that when I was doing music, right? There was a lot of opportunities that were given to me. Like I almost became a recording artist after the boy band. I was supposed to go to Taiwan to actually form a boy band. But the plan didn't fall through, because I think there were the contract was 10 years at the time. And a lot of us, the four of us, another four of us were, very skeptical about it. You see, what if we want to quit? We don't have any way out in that sense. Eventually it didn't fall through, right? At that point in time, I thought like, maybe this didn't work. Maybe I'm not meant to do this, right? That started that first spark of like, oh shit, maybe this is not meant for me, right?
So at the point of time, you felt like you really want to give up, and then you felt that, hey, okay, maybe this is not for me.
That was the first one that hit me really hard. And I even actually called the recording company, the boss. I said like, the other three guys don't want to do it anymore. Can you still take me as one of your singers, like recording singers? And he said, no, I want a group of 4, right? So that was another rejection. And then came many years later, there was another opportunity to actually go to Taiwan. I actually went overseas to meet another famous recording company back then. And, facing so many rejections in the past, and I also joined Singapore Idol, and I only made it top 30, it didn't even made it far enough. So all these things kind of creeped in and became layers of bricks that crushed me down and make me feel like I'm not suitable for this industry, And that opportunity in that Taiwan, I kind of also, because of the past experiences, I got scared, because they said, can you send in your demo? I'm like, okay, I want the perfect demo, right? And I kept procrastinating, I kept waiting and waiting. And then eventually time passed, I didn't even send anything. So that was yes, I do feel that sometimes rejections after rejection can bring someone down. But as I grow older, then I realized that actually maybe all these things were there to try and show you how much you want it. And maybe all these things were there to show you how much harder you have to work to get it.
Because you mentioned that there was a lot of rejection, at the point of time you were really very down to like, you really doubt whether is this the right choice for you, right? So I wanted to ask, okay, if today you can give one tip, if let's say you can give a tip, right, to the younger generation or to, like a professional corporates who are working, because you're also part of like a financial advisor, okay? How would you like overcome rejection and take rejection like a positive thing?
Wow, that's a very good question. So, even to
Because
today,
because rejection is usually for people like either you can take it very positive or you take it very negatively.
Correct.
Right? And people who take it negatively can always take it to the very
this is not
end of the
suitable.
spectrum, right?
Yes.
And then they will just because I'm not good, I'm not talented, I just give up.
Yeah.
Just like that. But actually it's not, because maybe perhaps it can just be they are underdeveloped yet. But maybe the time is
There's
not
potential,
right. Yeah,
but
potential, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you maybe like advise, for those who really want to enter the media industry, or even for corporate professionals who are working like you as a financial consultant, frontline, talking to clients and all this?
I think very importantly is to control what you can control, right? Because ultimately when people say no, or when you get rejections, it's all external. Example, we go to dating, right? If a girl says no, I don't think you're suitable, you cannot feel like.
So So if a girl says that you're not suitable, will you give up on the first try, or will you persevere?
In fact, that's how I persevere, and eventually that's how I got my wife also. So
I see, okay.
So in life also we have to understand. I think maybe back to your point in the sense that to understand what's our why first. Importantly, what is our why?
Yep.
The rejections sometimes are just noises. Right, and then of course understand what's our why. Secondly, is to understand what are the areas we can improve and get better on. Right, instead of just this person saying no, we have to question ourselves like, why did this person say no? Was it something that I didn't do? Maybe in terms of a client working with a client, didn't I ask the right questions? Or in terms of, let's say, in terms of acting, why I didn't get this role? Is it because my acting was not real enough, or and things that of course that can be controlled, of course then we work on and improve. But like for example, like I mentioned just now, I think if the client said that, for example, if a TV commercial, let's say, choose another actor instead of you, and sometimes when I see those commercials, when they select someone else, actually this person looks more suitable for this role than me. And somehow that's ways that I try and also reframe my mind, so that moving forward I can still enjoy the journey. Very importantly is to enjoy the journey.
Correct.
And to also at the same time, the third point is to ask yourself, when you look back, is this something that you really enjoy doing? That for example, on a person's deathbed or my deathbed, right? Did I do enough, or did I give up halfway? So I think that's very important to ask ourselves.
Okay, because we also know that you have a young children, right? And young child. So if let's say today your child were to come to you, hey daddy, I want to pursue acting like you, right? Would you allow them to pursue their journey in Singapore?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so if let's say they say, okay, now I don't want to study, okay, right? Especially like nowadays, younger generation, they feel that, hey, studies does not matter. It's no more longer about getting good qualification, everything, because there's a whole reframe of like the entire education system, right? So if let's say today your child comes, hey, daddy, I really don't want to study.
No.
I'm not to go for the tuition that you pay, thousands for Chinese tuition, English tuition. No, I'm not going. I'm just going to go full time into acting, full time into singing. Would you say that as a parent you will support their dream?
I would of course sometimes say no, sorry son, you want to go for your dreams, that's fine, but you also have to make sure certain things are in place, like financially of course you are in place. You make sure you save up money, because as an actor, if you want to do it full time, there are downtimes, right? If you don't save up for these downtimes, for those emergency moments, then what happens? So I always believe that we need to have multiple streams of income. It's also good to have multiple skill sets. So that means you can be good, for example, in playing piano, you can be good in finance, or you can be good at videography. So all these skill sets can then eventually help a person as an actor or singer, right? In terms of marketing, the singer knows how to market and knows how to do video himself, know how to do budgeting for his videos and all that. So I think those things really help in the long run.
Okay. Also want to take this opportunity to congratulate you, because we all know that you are going to be featured onto the Anthony Chen
Thank you so much.
movie that's going to launch in 2027. So just wanted to ask, how was your experience working with like Anthony Chen? Like, I mean, previously, have you really known him beforehand?
No. I mean, I've seen some of his movies before, especially this one. there was a China movie that he did that really struck me a lot. It's always something that I wanted to do, to work with him, because I wanted to work with local directors as well.
Yep.
When I had the opportunity to work with him, I really felt very nervous. I was actually very scared, like, oh, I don't know what to expect. He's very professional and stuff like that. But coming on set and rehearsals with him, he was actually very, very nice. And I think, and he was not overbearing. He's not like some directors like, oh, you need to do this correct. There was no this kind of things. But he's very good in one thing, that he's very specific. He knows what he wants. That if I want this shot like this, somehow we need to get to that kind of place in order to get the end result. So he has a very good, clear vision, and I think that as an actor, I was like, wow, this is really very, very high level stuff.
Okay, Ben, perhaps maybe you can share with us what are some of the pros and cons of like acting?
I think number one, the pros will be I can memorize things better now. Like memorize long pages of scripts. I understand the meaning faster now. So I think that's very good in terms of memory. I think the second point is that in terms of empathy, I'm able to now feel more of how someone feels in terms of how, whether they're feeling sad, happy or not. I become more sensitive in the sense that, like, in terms of someone's mood, someone's feelings. Yeah, and that's very helpful as a person. It helps me grow in that sense. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the cons will be, I think this is long hours, right? Long hours on acting. Sometimes we can be on set for at least 12 hours, sometimes even 18 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I've ever been on the set 18 hours before. So I think that's one of the cons of acting.
Okay, maybe perhaps let me just ask you, because you know that acting, right, you have to get into a very deep character, right? Is there a time where you are so into character, right? And then no matter how after offset, okay, you try to pull yourself up from the character, but you just cannot.
Wow, this is a tough one, because I've never been in those situations where I cannot pull myself out of character, right? So what I will do is that after every day, if let's say I'm shooting something, I will decompress. Basically, I'll go for a nice meal, or sometimes I'll go and listen to nice music and watch maybe some funny drama, comedy drama, right? Just to get that mood out. It's a very scary place, because like there's this actor Heath Ledger, the one who did Joker and Batman, right? I think he did spend a lot of time being in that character. Wow, the results were so amazing, because to me personally, he's the best Joker, right? But then I think eventually it also led to depression and stuff like that. So it's a very, very fine line, and to be honest, I don't have a specific answer, because everyone's very different, And
then would you say that, in your opinion, acting actually is a detriment to someone's mental health, like especially for actor, actress, right? Because like you mentioned, people can act and then go into depression because they just so they cannot pull themselves out from the character, they are so into it. What would you suggest if, let's say, an actor or actress were to be in such condition?
I think it's to really have openness to share it with someone that you're close with. To tell someone that you're close with that I'm having this issue and I really need help. I think that's the first step. I know sometimes it can be tough, because sometimes, in Asia culture, sometimes we tend to keep things to ourselves. But I learned through some sessions that I had with a therapy, right? Sometimes is to actually share your feelings about, to people. And that's something that I also try and educate my son now also. And moving forward, even in my life, if I feel like I need to say I love you to someone, or if I need to say I love you to my parents, I would now do it. There are also moments that sometimes I tend, to hold back. I'm not sure whether this person would judge me and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day is to find someone that you really trust, that can give you a safe space. Be it whether a therapy or a therapist, or maybe a close friend, or maybe your spouse. Find someone that you feel that you can open up to, because I think these days mental health is very important, and a lot in our society today, or Asian society, it's always something that we neglect it. We just push it aside, because in school it's like, hey, you come on, man up, man, stuff like that, or like these kind of things so small, why are you going to worry so much? But I think we shouldn't discredit all these things.
And it's very real in Singapore because
Yes.
you can see that nowadays, even for ministers, even education are also geared towards having like positive mental health and,
Yes.
and like developing like student well-being as a overall. If let's say now, asking you back to the same question, if now, would you still say that acting is something suitable for the younger generation, given that all these circumstances that we know?
I think acting at the end of the day, it's very helpful to get in touch with your own emotions and your own vulnerability, your own access to emotions. So in that sense, yes, I would still encourage parents or even my own son to go and explore these things. But also we have to make sure we set certain boundaries, right? As parents, we worry about like what happens if this, and stuff like that. So we also need to at the same time educate our children, like there are certain things that you have to be careful of, very standard, the usual bad company and stuff like that. Be a friend, basically. Be a good friend to your child. When I go on acting sets, I do see parents come along with their child, right, to support them in whatever ways that they can. I think secondly is to also ask the child, like, if you're not there on set, how was your experience like on set? What do you like and what do you not like about it? And is it something that you want to do? Do you enjoy doing this? If the hours are long, can you still do it? And these are the things that I will ask my child. And I think thirdly is to encourage my child also not to only give up when not because when times are bad. For example, let's say my child wants to do acting, and then all of a sudden he gets a lot of rejection for the whole year, and he say, I want to quit. And now I ask him, like, is this really you want to quit because are you having a bad time? That's why you want to quit.
It really boils down to their wants, right?
Yeah.
Like their passion, right? Because
Yeah.
just now when we first started, you mentioned that it actually boils down to your why.
Yes,
Why
correct.
are you doing this,
Yeah.
right? Because if you know your why very strong, you will
Yes.
definitely be able to pursue,
Yeah.
right? So, okay, interesting. And just wanted to also deep dive a bit further because, nowadays, not every children are like very extrovert, who can
Yes.
talk well, who, can do a lot like speech and drama, theater play, and this kind of thing. And for those that are a bit more shy, parents with a bit more shy kids, right?
Yes.
And then wanting to consider whether media acting is suitable for their kids. What would be some of the, advices you would give to such group of, parents with shy kids? Like,
Right.
what would you tell them? If now, let's say, you meet me and I tell you, hey Ben, I want to go into the industry like you. I want my daughter, my son to grow up like an actor, right? But my son, my daughter is very shy.
Right.
But I don't know whether this is something that is worthwhile to consider.
Right.
Right.
I think the first step is I'll encourage the person, the parent, to take the child for, let's say, speech and drama class, right? Or even maybe public speaking class. This then opens up the child, potential of like being more extrovert, right? It's very normal sometimes, like kids being shy, and it's very normal. And I think at the end of the day is to give them opportunities to take small steps first, rather than straight away say, hey, look, I'm going to put you into acting now, and then you're going to survive in the big pool.
I agree
Yeah.
with you. Would you say that given today's context, public speaking, having good speaking techniques are important?
Definitely important.
How will it help you in whether in your professional career or in your acting,
Right.
or even like you were once a student, right?
Yes.
Back then, and then maybe back then public speaking wasn't so renowned. There was not so much about acting, speech and drama and this
Right.
kind of thing, right?
Not even talking about career-wise yet, but just like day-to-day conversation with people. Learning about public speaking teaches us body language, right? For example, eye contact, right? Having proper eye contact rather than just always like talking down on the floor and then talking, that creates a disconnect already.
Yeah.
So having public speaking and taking all these courses, speech and drama, gives the child confidence so that in the end, he or she is able to have life skills to communicate effectively. Because at the end of the day, we're all communicating, whether it's social media, whether it's on TV, whether it's a face-to-face, so that they don't feel like going to a party feels awkward and they don't want to go, but they can still enjoy themselves and be themselves and basically communicate effectively.
Yeah.
And in terms of work as well, it gives them confidence to deliver a good presentation as well.
Just imagine I'm a young kid, like a child, potential actor, okay, maybe 7, 8 years old, and I want to go for audition, okay? And what is the one thing that you would tell me before going for audition to pass the selection test, to say that, hey, okay, maybe you have to speak properly in the mic, you have to have certain like behavior etiquette?
Very simply, I wouldn't make it so complicated. I would just say be yourself. In fact, when you watch kids, you can watch for them for hours. Like sometimes I look at my son, he can be doing some simple things, but we can just watch for hours. But why, right? Because they're so innocent, they're so natural with it. So I would say, like if it's young, like younger version of you or a young kid, right? I would say just be yourself. Just have fun.
Okay.
Right? Don't think so much of getting the role or trying to prove something.
In my opinion, I would think that the younger generation maybe have short attention span, right?
Yeah,
and then you know,
too much.
short attention span because of technology, scroll TikTok, scroll the Xiaohongshu and all this, right? How would you then say, helping to memorize will actually build like their attention to be more focused and also their brain development? Is there like, in your opinion, like as an actor, do you see like a potential synergy in memorizing and like brain development, focus attention, and all of this discipline?
To me, is when it instills discipline because you know that at the end of the day, you need to get this job done. You need to make sure you memorize lines, right? In terms also when it comes to education, they need to have that discipline to sit down and memorize certain things, right? And at the end of the day, when you memorize certain things, you get the job done.
To be
right?
able to complete a task.
Yeah.
So maybe, how about you share a bit of your secret recipe, okay? Do you like divide your brain into like 4 different, components? Like, scene 1 will be going on my top left brain, scene 2 will be going on my top right brain. Do you do like this kind of formulating, or how do you like break down a script?
I would do, if I have the whole day, I'll break it up in chunks. That means the first 30 minutes, I'll read the script 3 times, right? Just to understand what's going on. And then after that, I'll write it out in terms of the first letter of each word. Like for example, let's say, I am going to school. So I'll put I, A, G, T, S.
Okay, and how does that help you? Like by writing the initial
So I'll read the script first with words, and then after that I'll read the other page with try and as closely guess as what I've just read on the script, right? And see whether I can get as close as possible based on the first letter of the words. That helps me memorize what are the lines already. And then throughout the day, I'll just spend 20 minutes doing these 2 things, and then after that, I'll just put it one side. And then after a while, maybe 1 hour later, I come back to it again. And then I'll do the same thing again 3 times.
Yep.
Or maybe this time around I'll do 4 times. And then after I rest again, then maybe 2 hours later I'll come back to it and memorize again.
Okay.
So this gives, I feel like doing like this sometimes helps the brain memorize things faster. And it's okay sometimes that if you cannot get word for word, don't try and repeat the line again. Like for example, I'm going to.
Okay, so just like go with the flow first.
Yeah, go with the flow first.
Go with the flow, and then just repeat like the sentence by sentence. And all this.
Yeah, because the brain, the moment you stop, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to, what's the word? The brain will memorize that disconnect there. So the wiring of the brain will always will have that stop. So instead of trying to memorize it in the sense that and it cannot get it, then repeat. Cannot get it, repeat. No. Just memorize it 1, 2. Even if it's wrong, then move on the next time.
Taking forward, with all these skill set in terms of communication, in terms of memorization, in terms of discipline and all this, and also just nice because you are like a professional financial consultant as well in a corporate setting, and also once a student again, like you and me were once a student. How do you think with all these skill set, right, can actually help in your elevated pitch to client? Or preparing for students, potential students preparing for interviews?
I think number 1, in terms of acting and corporate job for interviews, it helps in memorizing. You roughly have an idea of what you want to say, rather than you sometimes. So being an actor also teaches me how to memorize things very fast, very quickly. So I roughly know, let's say if I'm going for an interview, I roughly know what are the summarized points that I want to talk about, right? And that speeds up the process, because some people sometimes when they're not sure how to memorize things, they sometimes go like, oh shit, I need to 10倍, and then it becomes very unnatural, becomes not organic anymore. So I think in terms of acting, it helps with interview in that sense. In terms of elevator pitch, I think it gives me the courage to ask people questions, to open up, to talk to random strangers. Because in the past, I never dared to do that. Or even ask people, let's say for a meeting in terms of financial advisory, right? Sometimes some people when they go into business, initially in the business, they are scared to sometimes like to ask, hey, look, would you be okay if I do some financial planning review for you, right? Some people are very scared of that. But I think through acting, through the rejections of acting, and through the communication through acting, it gives me the courage to then start opening my mouth and ask for, certain things to be able to open up to ask to speak to people.
Because we also know that you're a financial consultant, right? So, what got you into financial advisory, this industry?
Well, I think it was two reasons. I think one was that I feel that doing arts itself is not very sustainable in Singapore. Now, of course, there are other people out there that are doing arts and sustainable for that. But I think maybe from my point of view, I find it not sustainable.
Yeah.
So which is why eventually I decided to do financial planning, which then in turn teach myself how to plan well. And also, of course, eventually educate others in terms of planning as well. Okay, I think that was the first reason. I think the second reason also was because my father is also a financial advisor for 25 years already.
Okay.
Right. So he's always teaching us and guiding us the right financial tips and how to improve ourselves financially and stuff like that. And at that point of time, he wanted someone to take over his business, right?
Yeah.
Or if he's still in the business, of course, he haven't quit yet, but he wanted someone to eventually work together with him, and so he can retire. At that point of time, he asked my sister. My sister, sorry, our sister, she didn't want to join him in the business. She decided to do something else, and he was very heartbroken at that point of time. So me being the eldest son, I felt like it was a duty for me to at least say, hey, Dad, I'm going to try this, But I just tell you first, if I don't pass the exams, because we have to take exams, right? Yeah. If I don't pass the exams, then I feel that I'm not meant for it, that kind of mindset, But eventually I passed all because he said, in that case, I'm going to pay for your paper.
Oh.
Yeah, so he said that makes you feel as a son like, wow, shucks, man, my dad's paying for paper, I better pass. Yeah, so that's why I eventually passed all the papers. And through those exams that I took, I also realized the importance of financial planning, the importance of understanding money. And I feel that actually school should, of course back in the days, I don't know whether, they don't teach these kind of financial skill set. I'm not sure about schools these days, but I wish at that point of time in school, these were taught to us so we can learn how to better manage our money also.
I see.
Yeah.
So if just to sum up everything about acting, about financial advisory, okay, for potential parents with kids that wanting to go into this journey, but yet because we know that it's a bit not sustainable, would you still advise to try? And or would you say that, hey, maybe not, let's go down to the normal route of academic base, focus on your education, get good grades for your exam, go into university, and then go to 9 to 6 job?
If it's my son,
Yeah.
I would tell him, say, try it. Try it, you never know where you're going to get. It's just like in life, everything we try, if we don't try at all, I always have this concept. You ask, there's 1% chance. You don't ask, 0% chance. Same thing, if you try, there's 1% chance. No try, 0% chance. I want my son to learn about trying things and learn from this experience, what he can gain from there, life experience, and if there's failure, how does he learn how to get up from there? I know as parents, we want to protect our children and stuff like that, we don't want them to suffer, and that's why we want the best, right? But it's through sometimes failures that maybe that you realize this is not suitable for them, or maybe this is what they want, and they really work hard for it. Lin Junjie, right? It's famous singer in Singapore, yes. Right? And he was in the same army unit as I was, but he was a batch before me.
Oh,
right? Yeah. Wow. So if he didn't try,
he
wouldn't
be
he wouldn't be famous.
Yeah, he wouldn't be famous.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I agree also. For parents who are also maybe sitting on the fence, what will you share with them? Say, hey, now is the time for your kids to learn public speaking, learn about good speaking techniques, okay, in terms of tonality, in terms of writing story, because story has to be good in order to portray out that kind of character, playing speech and drama, theatre play, acting, this kind of thing. What will be your final words on this? Say like, hey, okay, now is the time. Don't need to consider.
Yeah, I always think that if it's my son, you know, like at the age that he can learn how to like basically have a conversation and speak already, I would definitely encourage him to go and do all these speech and drama. And it's not because of acting or whatever. It's more of a confidence booster, a more of understanding how to use language.
Yeah.
In fact, right now also, as my son, I always will encourage him to go and like say hi to people, you know, talk to people. Even though he cannot say much words yet, but I always encourage, like, hey, go say hi to people, high five to people, because that also trains him to not be so paiseh and shy.
Yeah, correct.
So I think definitely, I feel strongly that speech and drama and public speaking is very, very important. The earlier you can start, the better, I feel.
Thank you, Ben, so much for sharing your insights as an actor and, of course, the media industry, understanding the importance of public speaking. Okay, we know that learning this kind of skill set definitely not going to be wasted and is transferable between like schools or your professional corporate lives. For parents who are still thinking if public speaking is for you today, do come down to Speech Academy Asia Upper Thomson branch to build your child confidence, pronunciation, and memory under pressure. Do reach out to Speech Academy Asia Upper Thomson for further promotion. Thank you. Bye-bye.